Hello and welcome to today's workshop. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Women's Members Excellence Committee of ICAI, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to Yashaswini and Idol Series 31. Yashaswini and Idol is a Wednesday series of programs conducted by WMEC of Women's CA and by the Women's CA. For the Women's CA. This series is an extension of Sky High Symposium, which conducted its 100 episodes. It is one of the committee's initiatives to not only disseminate information to women members on technical updation and non-technical skills, but also to empower and inspire women members to come at forefront and realize their verbal skills at public forum. We'll start with our first session on the topic social audits. And to do that, I would like to welcome our first guest, that's CA Twinkle Dubey. I have got the opportunity to interact with her just before this session, and the next session is going to be a power-packed session with a new opportunity in social audits and a presentation that she has created very creatively. So it is my honor to introduce CA Twinkle Dubey. Twinkle Dubey is a chartered accountant, company secretary, and social auditor, currently practicing at a leading CA firm as a social impact assessor. A recent member of the Institute of Social Auditors of India, ISA and ICA certified independent director, she ensures non-government organization and non-profit organization comply with social accountability standards. With this, we begin the session, but I have a housekeeping request before we begin the session that in case if you have any questions during the session, you can drop your questions in the Q&A chat box so that our speaker will answer towards the end of the session. So it's our honor to welcome CA Twinkle Dubey for the next session.
Thank you so much, Sonia, for your warm introduction. And I hope I give the power-packed presentation like you just said. I hope I'm audible to everyone. So before I start, very good afternoon to all the participants who have joined the session and who are here, especially at this point of the day when you all are busy and when there's a lot of work to do. Thanks a lot for that. Before I start, let me introduce myself. I am CA Twinkle Dubey, Chartered Accountant, Company Secretary, Social Auditor, and an IICA Certified Independent Director. And I'm very grateful for this platform, Yashaswini, where all women CA, for women, by women, the chartered accountants are coming here, sharing their knowledge, and we have so much to gain from it. I hope we take the best out of it. So without much ado, I think I should begin with my topic, that is social audit, and audit which is beyond numbers. So there's a specific reason why I've chosen this topic, and as we progress ahead through the presentation, we will understand why this audit is just beyond numbers. I'll be sharing my screen. I hope it is visible to everyone. So beginning with my topic, social audit, that is an audit beyond numbers. Now, how are we going to proceed ahead in this entire meeting is, first of all, I'm going to talk about the concept of social audit, like what it is all about, and how is it different from the financial audit. Secondly, I'll be dealing with the applicability of social audit, like to which areas this social audit is applicable. If you are planning to become a social auditor, which companies do you have access to as a social auditor? Third is the eligibility, which will deal with how you can go ahead and become a social auditor, what are the qualifications needed, what are the examinations that you need to clear in order to become a social auditor. Fourthly, we talk about the most important thing, that is the social audit standards. Any professional will work only as per these standards, because that is the best way to conduct successfully an audit program. So we have social audit standards for the social auditors as well, just like we have it in audits. Nextly, there'll be disclosures and reporting guidelines, which we'll discuss in short. And last thing, scope of social audit in India. Why are we doing this entire social audit presentation? The reason behind this will be in the slide number 13. All right, so let me start with my topic. What do we know about social audit? So whenever we think about a company mostly wants to earn a profit. That is a main objective. But there are organizations. For example, there is an organization named Selco. Now, this company Selco is not just concentrating on earning profits, but it is also benefiting a lot many people. For example, what it does is it provides electricity to the rural people, or to the underprivileged sections, or to the disadvantaged sections, by way of solar electricity, by way of generating electricity through solar. So this is how Selco is earning profits as well, and also benefiting the poor. This entire thing is called as for profit entities. For profit entities are those entities which are earning profits as well as doing some social work. Apart from this, there is NGOs, there are NPOs, that is non-profit organizations. These organizations again carry out certain social work. Now, there is a need that is arisen of social audit because of the term social stock exchange. All of this will be discussed in later part of the session, but for now, let me concentrate on social audit. Social audit is basically a bridge between intentions and impacts. What is the company's intention, what it wishes to achieve, whether it has achieved or not, and what impact it is creating on the economy, on the people, on the society as a whole. That is social audit. So it is not just about numbers, it is about the deeds or the acts or the objectives it is wishing to accomplish. To be precise, it is a formal review of company's code of conduct, procedures, practices, objectives, and assessment of its own total social goal achieved. Moving on ahead, let us see how it is different from the normal audit, that is a financial audit. So it is very easy to understand that financial audit, we have always done that. So it is always dealing with financial statements or accounts, or the finance aspect. But social audit is not what financial audit is. It is beyond the financial aspects. It involves understanding what social work a company is doing, what objective it is wishing to accomplish, what is the environment impact of that organization. While financial audit is done from the point of view of the management, like management is preparing the financial statements and it wants it to be audited. But social audit has a different reason. Now these organizations are wishing to improve their image in the minds of the consumers or the society at large, and therefore they are doing some social cause. And this social cause is understood by social audit, which is then informed to the stakeholders in the form of social audit reports. While financial audit, if we consider, there's a standardized method that we need to follow. Like there is only a specific way in which financial audit can be conducted. But for social audit, no, it's a different thing. For example, if we think about Eklavya Foundation, Eklavya Foundation is providing education to the poor. While Selco, for example, just like I said, is dealing with providing electricity to the poor. Now, if we consider, Selco has a different way of functioning, and Eklavya has a different way of functioning. Therefore, the social audit method that is applied to Selco or to say Eklavya Foundation is going to be totally different. And that is why it is said that social audit requires different methods with quantitative and qualitative. Okay. Now, last point, which is very important, financial audit is obviously done by chartered accountants, but social audit is not just for chartered accountants, but also for company secretary and CMAs. Apart from there are other eligibilities as well, which we will consider in the later part of the session. Moving ahead, we will deal with application of social audit. To whom this social audit is applicable? Is it applicable to all organizations, or how this social audit has to be done in specific organizations? We are going to deal with this in the present slide. Now, if we consider non-profit organizations or non-governmental organizations, they have vast variety of work to do, and they do different activities. Like no two organizations are doing exactly the same activities. Therefore, there is an absence of a common regulatory framework. Now, to regulate these entities, we have a concept of social stock exchange. What is social stock exchange? We'll soon come to know. But what we need to know is what is the criteria for these NPOs to get registered on social stock exchange. First, we'll deal with that, and how social audit can help these NPOs to get registered on the social stock exchange. So basically, social auditor will be the bridge between the NPOs and the social stock exchange. Let's see what are the mandatory criteria for the NPO registration under social stock exchange as per ICDR guidelines 2018. So what is ICDR? Is issue of capital and disclosure requirements regulations 2018. Now, who are NPOs and which NPOs can get registered on social stock exchange? Firstly, it has to be a charitable organization either registered under Societies Regulation Act 1860 or Indian Trust Act 1882 or as a Section 8 company under Companies Act 2013. Their existence should be minimum of 3 years, and there are also other monetary restrictions which needs to be adhered to. First is the annual spending or receipts should be at least 30 lakh, 50 lakh, and funding receipts should be at least 10 lakh. Only when these criteria get satisfied, that social auditor will assess and ensure that NPO gets registered at the social stock exchange. Now, what instruments can NPOs or NGOs use to raise fund on the social stock exchange? They can use either zero coupon, zero bonds, they can use social impact fund, they can use mutual funds or equity or debt oriented instruments. What we also need to remember is an NPO may choose to register on social stock exchange, but it is not compulsory for it to raise funds through social stock exchange. So basically, NPO is just trying to increase its presence in the market through social stock exchange, but does not want to raise fund through it, right? Now we move on to for-profit entities, which are called as FPEs. What are these entities? Like I said, these entities are the basic corporates which are there in our country, and they are having a particular social intent to carry out certain works. They are normally listed under BSE, NSE, SME, or Innovators Growth Fund. What they have to do is they are already registered on the stock exchanges. But to gain access to an upper level, that is a social stock exchange, they need to fulfill certain criteria. They have to fulfill two types of criteria. One that is provided by the ICDR guidelines 2018, and second is provided by LODR guidelines 2015, that is listing obligation and disclosure requirement. Once they satisfy these criteria, they'll be able to raise funds through social stock exchange. Now, what are these criteria? Let us know about it. The first thing is the offer document or the prospectus that we say must mention about the differentiators. Now, differentiators are those elements or are those additional requirements which provides it a cutting edge, which provides the corporates a cutting edge. For example, if they have a proper impact scorecard, or if they have a proper FCRA certificate or 12A, 12AA, 12AB certificate, which are basically the exemption certificates under the Income Tax Act. If they have all of these, they can mention it in the offer document, and then they'll be able to raise funds on social stock exchanges. Now, what kind of funds are risen by them through the social stock exchange includes equity, debt funds, and social impact funds. So, social impact funds is, for example, an organization is planning to do something for the benefit of the poor or for the benefit of the disadvantaged section. It will decide and ensure that it raises funds for that particular purpose. So it wants to create an impact socially, and that is why it is raising funds through social impact funds. Now, moving on ahead, by understanding the concept of social stock exchange, which is coming again and again, and we need to dive deep into this topic. So, what is social stock exchange? Social stock exchange basically is just an extension of the normal stock exchange that we see in the market. But what is different here is there is a specific requirement of social intent to be eligible to get registered or list yourself or to raise funds through social stock exchange. So NPOs, like I said, they may choose to get registered but not raise fund or list securities. While FPEs are already registered but they need to raise funds to social stock exchange. So basically, social stock exchange is connecting the charitable and the social organizations with the donors. In short, they are the facilitators of social financing. The most important topic of this entire session is the eligibility. Like, why are we studying social audit, or why, and if we are studying the social audit, how can we become one? So, for that, we need to understand what are the qualifications that are required to be eligible for becoming a social auditor. First of all, you need to be either a CA, a CS, or a CMA, but with the certificate of practice. Apart from these three qualifications, professional qualifications, there are additional two qualifications. For example, if you are a postgraduate from a UGC recognized institution, then you will be eligible provided you have minimum 3 years of experience in any development sector or any company which is related to the development sector. While if you are just a graduate from UGC recognized university, then you need 6 years of work in development sector. Only then you will be able to qualify the first step towards becoming social auditor. Now, like we have studied, the first step of becoming a social auditor, that is a qualification that you need. But apart from that qualification, we also need a certification that needs to be done. Let's see what it is. Now, coming upon the certification. Firstly, persons satisfying the eligibility criteria need to apply for NISM certification. So I recently qualified as a social auditor in the month of March. So first thing, I prepared a checklist like to what criteria I satisfied. So first thing was I was a chartered accountant. Yes. Second thing, I was a chartered accountant in practice. Third thing is I checked the NISM website, which is the National Institute of Securities Market website, which conducts various kinds of examinations, which will help you. If you are interested in the securities market, there are a lot many examinations going on there. I think as chartered accountants, we must explore those areas as well because that's going to be very helpful for additional qualification, for additional knowledge that you might get. And they also have specific set of books which are really very insightful. So I checked on the NISM site and there I found the exam, which was earlier known as Social Auditors Exam, but now it has been renamed as Social Impact Assessors Exam. So you just have to find out that SIA exam, fulfill whatever registration details are there, like your qualification, about yourself, about your personal details, and educational qualifications, professional qualifications, experience. And then while you fill out the form, you also have to choose one particular date. It may be like 1 week later, 1 month later, 2 3 months later, it could be any time. You can choose a date out of there and apply for that exam. Once you're ready or prepared for the exam, you will go on that particular date and give that exam. It is online exam. It is conducted in usually NISM institution. I had given it in Vashi NISM. You may also try if there is any other NISM I am not aware of, but I had given it in Vashi. All right. So you just have to choose the exam and appear for it. And yes, there is also option available that if you're not prepared for the exam, you may also change the date. but there is specific restriction on the number of times you can update the date. All right, so I had chosen 1 month time to give the exam. So I had attempted, I had signed in March, and I had given the exam on 13th of April. And second important thing is, what is the minimum passing marks that is required to clear the exam. So to qualify the exam, you require 60 out of 100. There are 100 questions and you need 60 questions. Yes, there is negative marking involved, so you have to be very careful. I had luckily scored 75 out of 100, but 60 suffices the purpose. So once you select the date, you go for the examinations, and it's a very short time examination. I think it was around 75 minutes or so. But yeah, there may be some changes because a name change has happened, social impact assessor. So I think there must be some change in the exam pattern as well. But it is basically objective types with negative marking, and you need to secure 60 marks. And the results are also announced same time, same place, on the on the laptop itself, or sorry, on the computer itself. All right, so once you clear the exam, you need to apply or register yourself with a self regulatory organization, which is called as SRO. Now, what are these SROs? Every professional body, like I said, CA, CS, or CMA, they have their own SROs. For example, ICAI has its SRO as ISAI, which is Institute of Social Auditors of India. This is a Section 8 company. So once I qualified the examination, I got my certificate in around 15 days. Once I got that, I registered myself with Institute of Social Auditors of India through a PC or through a laptop. It's not available on the phone. Don't try it through that way. So once you do that, you have to fill in the requirements. You have to upload your certificate that you received through NISM some 15 days later, and then it will process all the informations. After everything is clarified, after everything is checked, they will issue you a membership number. And once you obtain the membership number, you also get a certificate in like 2 or 3 months time, and then you can specialize in your practice. So this is the entire process, like from CA to becoming an SA. So this is the entire thing that needs to be followed if you want to join it. So if anyone is interested, let me know. I may help you. If by any chance you need to become a social auditor, you can contact me later on. Now moving ahead, now you have become a social auditor. Now what next? What has to be done? So most important thing is, when you are becoming a social auditor, you need to know how the social audit is going to be done. Like, what are the standards? Those are the basic things that every auditor should know. Like, what is a guideline that it needs to follow? So let's talk about those guidelines. Social audit standards. So I've tried to make it as innovative, as creative as possible, so that this peak time of 3 o'clock doesn't become boring for you all, and I don't want to make it a boring session. So I made it a little bit creative, ensuring that it is professional as well as creative. So let's deal with social audit standards. Now, social audit standards, there are total 16 standards. They are very simple, but and they are very general in nature. So every standard has certain social objectives which a company may be running for, and we as social auditor have to ensure whether those companies are carrying out its objective as per these audit standards or not. If they are not performing it as per these standards, then we always have a report in hand, which we can qualify, disqualify, or we can deal with it our way. So first we'll start with SAS 100, which deals with hunger, poverty, malnutrition. Now, majority of the corporates or the NGOs or NPOs are working towards this kind of thing, like hunger, poverty, malnutrition. And the main objective of these organization is to ensure that India is, anemia free, or India is properly nourished, or they have access to, iodine or vitamins, minerals. So there are certain organizations or pharmaceutical companies as well who are ensuring that the people get the disadvantaged people get access to basic vitamins, basic minerals. So SAS 100 will deal with that type of organizations. For example, we have ASHA, which is working towards the welfare of women. Now, the ASHA Foundation will be working differently as compared to, say, Selco, or as compared to Unnati Foundation, which is working for the education. Now, what Asha is doing is it is working for the women upliftment. And what the Vatsalya Foundation or other foundations are doing is they are working for the rural people, or they are working for the children. So every company is different, and therefore every company will have to follow different methodology. And we as social auditors have to analyze which standard do they fall in, and then accordingly apply those standards guidelines on those companies. All right. Now, next, moving on to SAS 200, which includes healthcare, safe drinking water, and all the basic things which is related to health. For example, we have Arvind Eye Care service. It provides eye care services to the rural poor, or to the poor in general. So it will follow a set of guidelines which is applicable to healthcare. It won't follow something that is related to malnutrition or something that is related to hunger. So we have to follow SAS 200 if we are dealing with such a company like Arvind Eye Care. Thirdly is SAS 300, which is about education and employability. So when you look at it, you will understand that these are very basic things, and they are so much similar to SDGs, that is a sustainable development goal which we need to achieve by 2030. In SDGs also we have hunger, poverty, health, education, gender equality, clean air, clean water. So similar to this is the social audit standards. What we as a social auditor have to do is we have to ensure that the companies are promoting education, are promoting employability, are ensuring gender equality. So this has to be looked after by us. And these are specific guidelines which I'm not dealing with in depth since we have only 1 hour. So I cannot deep dive much into this, but I will basically talk about these standards in general, which are the areas. What social work actually means is actually available from this slide. Then SAS 400 is about gender equality. For example, we have Unnati Foundation, which is dealing with the gender equality. We have Vatsalya Foundation, which is dealing with the mothers, the breastfeeding mothers, lactating mothers, all those things. Next, we have SAS 500, which deals with environment sustainability. If a company today decides that I will generate electricity by way of, say, hydro power, or by way of solar power, or by way of wind power, such companies will have to be audited as per SAS 500. Now let's go ahead and see other standards. SAS 600 deals with national heritage and culture. So there are few organizations. For example, there is a Rangde organization, which is somewhat dealing with protecting the culture of the country. And they have the main objective of promoting the cultural diversity, or protecting the monuments, the historical elements which have a historical symbol, or such kind of thing. Those companies have to be dealt with as per SAS 600. And at times there may be many companies who are venturing into various things. For example, they may also be working towards bridging the rural urban divide, and also apart from that working on self reliance. So for such organization we'll have to use a mixture of all these audit standards and then apply to them accordingly. SAS 700 is dealing with rural Olympic or Paralympic sports. SAS 800 is dealing with promoting incubators for social enterprises. This means it ensures that the new venturers or the new entrepreneurs are able to get the requisite support from the corporates. So these are those corporates who are helping others to set up their business or to set up their social enterprises. So this indirect way is also included in social audit. Okay. Next is SAS 900, that is organizations which are supporting fundraising. They may be angel investors, they may be venture capitalists. These people come under SAS 900 standards. Then we have SAS 1000, which deals with livelihood of poor and the farmer, which is mostly the agricultural aspects. SAS 1100 we have for slum development and housing. So mostly while we are auditing companies, we mostly audit companies which are doing something in the field of finance, or which wants to attain objectives. But there are very few auditors who are actually working with the NGOs or the NPOs and understanding their way of functioning, because sometimes it becomes a volunteering in nature, and therefore much chartered accountants are not venturing into that. So yes, there are organizations which are working for slum redevelopment or for their housing. There are the organizations which are working for disaster management. And while I'm talking about organization, it does not just mean private organizations. It also means government. The social audit is also applicable to governments. Government, as in government, comes up with various schemes and programs. We have MGN regs. We have Jan Awas Yojana. We have the Jandhar Aadhaar Mobile Trinity. We have so many Ayushman schemes. So these schemes also require a social auditor, so that the audit can take place, and the government can have a check whether the officials are actually using the money uh, for the objectives they had raised those funds. So social audit is not restricted to private organizations, but it's going to be very helpful for a government organization. For example, I myself have registered for National Institute of Rural Development. So NIRD has a social audit unit, and they require social auditors in this. So this way you can work with the government, for the government, and in the government. So this is going to be very helpful. Therefore, chartered accountants who wish to expand their scope or diversify, they can use this as an opportunity and try venturing and connecting with the government, or first get into social audit, acquire certain carry out certain audit, and then venture into government and start working with them and understanding the schemes and everything. It's going to be very helpful. So SAS 1200 is disaster management. For example, in India, we have a disaster management mechanism. We have so many institutions that are working for this. So as a social auditor, we can also be a part of these in entities. Next, SAS 1300, which deals with financial inclusions, that is ensuring that much more people come together and understand how the banking system runs. For example, we have Jandhan Aadhaar Mobile Trinity. So this helps in understanding how these three things are interlinked, and we can carry out audit of these things also, of these aspects also, and ensure whether a company which is aiming of I'll ensure that all the people are aware of the banking thing, or they are aware of what is NEFT, what is UPI. So those organizations will need your help, and then you can apply SAS 1300 for them and get the work done. Next is SAS 1400, which is again for disadvantaged section. Actually, all the organizations which are carrying out social work, they are actually doing it for the poor. They are actually doing it for the disadvantaged section only. So we don't require a specific standard for that, but then there are organizations which do all kind of work, especially for the poor, especially for the communities which are not doing well. So SAS 1400 is for them. Now, next SAS 1500 is bridging the digital divide. I will commend the way this social audit standards have been created. Especially, it has been created with the help of the ICAI, and it's great to know that how ICAI has ensured that the latest things or the latest issue is covered and addressed by the social audit standards. Because we have been more digitally active in, I think, last 10 years, and therefore there's a need to ensure that the urban and the rural, the both are at par when it comes to digitalizing. And therefore there are organizations, there are institutions who are working towards breaking this digital divide, or they are ensuring that there is access to fiber optic cables everywhere, there is access to Wi-Fi everywhere. So this will help in bridging the gap which is there in terms of internet, in terms of connectivity. Last but not the least, SAS 1600. We have known the problems of migrants that is happening in recent times, whether it is from Bangladesh or whether it is from any other country. But we must not forget that though they belong to another country, but many of the times there are Indian citizens who are there and for work, and they are migrating here. So such people also need to be taken care of, because they are our countrymen, and we have to provide them a humane treatment. So for these people, there are organizations who are dealing with the migrants and displaced work people who have to leave their homes for jobs, or for other for educational purpose and for other purposes. So basically, these things were covered under social audit standards. We have 16 standards. I think we have deeply understood them. Now moving on to another important concept, which is SAS framework, that is Social Audit Standards Framework. Now, who creates this? It's none other than our ICAI has provided this framework. These frameworks are mandatory in nature. Whenever a social auditor is carrying out his social audit, he has to ensure that he is complying with the ICAI guidelines. These are guidelines that needs to be followed and understood well. Okay, and SAS framework is only applicable for social audit. We cannot apply it on financial audit. We can apply it for CSR, yes. We can apply it for any other social activities, yes, but not for financial audit. For financial audit, we have a standard methodology and we need to follow that. Now, let's see what is the element under SAS. Now, SAS, that is Social Audit Standard Framework, it has a three-party relationship, which is understood. For example, there is a social auditor who is conducting the audit. Then there is a responsible party. Who is a responsible party? That is a person, or sorry, the entity for whom the audit is being conducted. It may be an organization, NGO, NPO, trust, charitable institution, society. It could be any of these. So those are the responsible parties. That is the parties whose social accounts we are going to audit. And third are the intended users. The intended users are basically the stakeholders at large. They may be the consumers, they may be the employees, they may be the stakeholders. So it's just a mix of all these three, and the relation between these three is the basis of the SAS framework. Moving on to next, we have social program scope. Now, why are we conducting social audit? We are conducting it because there is a social program or a social objective or a social intervention which is in the minds of the corporates. So, the corporates or the NGOs or NPOs will specify what program they are wishing to accomplish. Based on that, there'll be a scope which will be decided. Like, okay, if you're working for say bridging the digital divide, so you have to concentrate on this point. Now you don't have to deviate yourself out of it. So this is creating a scope, that is what is the area of work. Third is social program monitoring. Just creating an outline and deciding what has to be done is not sufficient. We need to go beyond that. We need to monitor whether whatever we had specified as objectives is working well or not. Whether this criteria is getting satisfied or not. Next is audit evidence. Audit evidence is, I think, the heart of an audit. For anything that you do, you require documentations, you require interviewing people, you require a lot of data, oral, written, everything, secondary data, primary data, everything is covered under audit evidence, and it has to be a part of the framework. Last and the most important powerful tool a social auditor has is his reports. These reports are called as social impact assessment reports. Now, whether the company is achieving its objective or not, whether it qualifies to get registered at SSE or not, SSE is Social Stock Exchange, whether the company can do listing at Social Stock Exchange or not, everything, all the answers to all the questions will be here in the fifth point, which is social impact assessment reports. Now, switching on ahead, now these are the main things, these are the guidelines. Basically, this is not just of India, this is multifaceted in nature. We have guidelines from accepted internationally, we have guidelines from the United Nations also, and these guidelines have also are also needed to be studied by a social auditor before he is conducting an audit. So this will just improve his visibility and help him better in understanding whether the impact has been created or not. So let's go and read what is the first guideline, that is the national guidelines on responsible business conduct. Before this, I think in the year of 2011, this guideline was called as National Voluntary Guidelines, just NVGs. They were specifically for socio-economic and environmental responsibilities. But later on, when the Sustainable Development Goals came into picture by the United Nations, we also introduced national guidelines on responsible business conduct in the year 2015. What these guidelines have is they have a set of principles. Now, those principles have to be studied, and whenever we are conducting a social audit, we just have to ensure whether the business is carrying out ethical practices or not, whether it is working for the well being of the employees, the customers, or the stakeholders or not. How is it behaving? Is it behaving responsibly or not? Whether it is promoting human rights, protecting the environment, whether it's ensuring inclusive growth, everything that we have studied in the SAS is also a part of national guidelines on responsible business conduct. This is our own country's guidelines. Apart from that, we have few global guidelines as well. Iris Plus, which is impact rating system. So this is by a Global Impact Investing Network, GIIN. So this is a network of the institutions who are studying the impacts various organizations are making on the world, on the economy, or on the environment at large. So Iris Plus is basically an impact accounting system. Just like we have a carbon footprint where we assess what is a carbon footprint of a particular country, and we give them carbon credits, all those kind of things. Similar to that, we have this Iris Plus. And how does Iris Plus work? It's a basic method where there is a core metric analysis, like there are core areas which needs to be focused, and based on those core areas there is a rating system that is available, or there is an accounting system that is available, and you generate a report out of it. This is called as, entire process is called as impact management project. Apart from this, we have Global Impact Investing Rating System, which is understood from the name itself. It has to do with the rating, and it is not applicable to all organizations. It is either applicable to the most developed organizations or to the ones who are emerging. So what it does is it understands the functioning like of all the organizations, and after studying all the organizations, it provides them a rating on the basis of the impact they have created socio-environmentally. All right. Moving ahead, we have Global Reporting Initiative. So Global Reporting Initiative is United Nation Environment Program, has partnered with this non-profit organization, and it has created a mechanism which will help in providing sustainable report reporting framework. And what it does is it categorizes all the institutions and then decides what kind of disclosures are expected from those organizations. For example, GRI Universal Standard. This universal standard is no matter what organization you are, you have to fulfill these GRI universal standards. Then second is sector standards. Sector standards is a sector specific. Like if you are into say mining, so you have to follow only mining standards. If you are into healthcare, you have to follow only healthcare standards, right? Third is topic standards. Now there are certain organizations who are doing work which is a highly risky in nature. For example, mining. For example, so there are health and safety concerns which are associated with mining and related things. So we have to make proper disclosures. GRI expects that such companies are making proper disclosures with respect to health and safety, so that even though like you're doing mining, you're doing something for the nation or you're doing something for the economy, you are also ensuring safety and proper health of your employees also. Okay. Next ahead, we have again, like I said, United Nations have also provided guidelines. One is UNGC, that is United Nations Global Compact. Now, this United Nations Global Compact is one of the most important guideline, because it aligns the strategies of the organization with the UNGC principles. That is, you cannot misalign yourself from UNGC principle. You have to ensure that you are not deviating from any of the principles. What are those principles? Involves much is involved in the human rights section. That is, you cannot abuse the human rights. You cannot impose forced labor, child labor, or you have to provide the right to collective bargaining. You must carry out environmental friendly practices. So these are basic guidelines, I think, which every organization needs to adhere, whether or not UN suggests. But yeah, here if you are acting as an auditor, social auditor, you need to you need to check whether your organization is UN compliant or not. I mean, the UNGC compliant or not, right? And last but not the least is Omidyar network and Avishkar network. So what are this Omidyar and Avishkar? These are community specific. Omidyar is a community specific networking mechanism. What it does is it deals with the community as a whole, like what social change a community. For example, usually we have Jain community that is coming together and doing something for the social work. So for the social purpose. So similarly, Omidyar also deals with such communities who are working for the specific social change. Whereas Avishkar, like the name suggests, Avishkar means invention. So this is applicable to the aspiring and entrepreneurs or those entrepreneurs who are wishing to achieve profits. So, like I said, these are the few guidelines that a social auditor has to adhere to while he's dealing with a social audit. Now, going ahead, last topic is scope of social audit in India. Today, if you go and fill your forms for NISM certification, then will that social audit bring any good to you? Will bring any profits to you, or will bring any change in your profile? So we are going to study about that here, like how social audit can be the change in your much needed CVs. So yes, so where all it is applicable, we have already studied the applicability. This is the area where we can enter into after becoming a social auditor. So you can be helpful to government because it comes out with various schemes and programs. We have Manrega, we have midday meal schemes, National Health Mission, and like I said, how I've registered with National Institute of Rural Development and Panchayati Raj. You could also sign in for the schemes and programs and decide that I want to be part of the social audit unit and help. So, in short, social audit, like I said, is beyond numbers. It is see, every auditor has to do something with numbers, but social audit is not just restricted to it. It has to go beyond it. It has to understand the intent of the organization and the impact that the organization has achieved. So, government schemes and programs can be the best place for a social auditor, to ensure. Next is you can sign in with an NGO or NPO and work on the areas like whether it is utilizing its funds properly, it is adhering to legal ethical standards or not, it is meeting the objective or not, or how to improve the reputation of the NGO and NPO so that it can get more of help from the donors or from the it's more comfortable in raising funds. So these are the areas. If you're working in NGO NPO, you have to work in these areas. Now, if you're working for profit entities, for profit entities, so what will you check? Basic checks are there. We have to ensure that CSR is properly evaluated. The environment impact assessment has to be done. Whether the consumer responsibility and consumer is dealt with responsibly, whereas whether the product is safe to use or not, and we need to check the basic transparency in the for-profit organizations. Moving ahead, we have environment impact assessment. So we are the social impact assessors, and therefore we also need to understand the environment impact that the functioning of the organization is doing on the environment. We need to study those impacts. So what does it include? Carbon footprint, like I discussed, grievance redressal, CSR responsibility, resource sustainability, whether it is using the resources that is allocated to them responsibly, or there is misuse of resources or wastage of resources or overuse of resources. All these are dealt with in EIS. Last but not the least, we have to study the impact on service delivery. We have our healthcare system, we have water, sanitation, infrastructure. We can venture into any of these organizations who are dealing with healthcare, education, and infrastructure, and assess how what impact these services are having on the economy as a whole. So yes, we have reached the end of the session, and I'm so thankful for this Yashaswini platform and to all the participants who have been with me till here. And I hope you've understood the topic. In case you have any query or any if you need an access to this presentation, you can contact me. I'll share it with you. And thank you for all the coordinators. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you so much, Twinkle. That was very interesting and a very new topic, I would say. And
Ensuring
we
this
have a couple of questions also.
smooth
If you
growth.
are okay, we can take
Smooth.
it up
Okay.
right
Yeah.
now.
Yes, yes, sure.
Yes. So first question is from Rampriya.
Mm-hmm.
She would like to know that what are the minimum years of practice required to get the social auditor qualification, or can a freshly become chartered accountant can also apply for this exam?
Okay. So what the name was? What did you say?
Ram
Rampriya.
Rampriya.
Okay, Rampriya. So yes, you do not require any minimum years of practice as such, because I also had started my practice recently only, like within a year or so. So yes, you can start with your practice, and there's no minimum years required for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's
There's another question from Shreya.
okay.
She has a question that she has cleared her social auditor exam early this
Okay.
year, but has
Yes.
not applied for the membership. So,
Okay.
what is the process? If you can just explain in brief, and is there any timeline within which we have to apply?
Okay. Once you clear the exam, there is yes, I forgot to mention that once you clear the exam, that certificate is valid for 3 years, and once you complete 3 years, you have to give the exam again, which is not a very tough exam. If you appear it now, if you appear it later, the difficulty level might increase since the questions won't get repeated again. So yes, 3 years validity is available, and once you get the certificate, I think that is given online as well. Once you get that certificate, I think you should upload it with ISAI, or if you want to be a part of the SRO of company secretary, or if you want to be an part of SRO of ICMAI, then you can choose to. But I had chosen Institute of Social Auditors of India, and I think you should do it quickly, because the certificate itself is valid for 3 years, so you should not extend beyond that, and try to take advantage of your certificate as soon as possible.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And when is the social audit mandatory? This is a question by Sarita.
Hmm. So, social audit is mandatory once you decide that you have to register yourself on stock exchange, or when you decide that yeah, now I want to raise funds to stock exchange, or when the organizations feel that no, whatever we are doing, whatever the organization is doing, we need an audit of the same. There's no such mandatory requirements. Yeah, if you want to get listed on the social stock exchange, there are certain mandatory requirements, but for social audit, you can choose to whenever you wish to. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And the last question is from
Mm.
Astha. Her
Yes.
question is, how is the social audit different from CSR? And are there any guidelines as to the amount that an organization needs to spend on social activities?
Okay. CSR is basically a mandatory requirement for the companies who are, satisfying a certain turnover limit. Okay. Whereas social audit is for those organizations who are already carrying out certain works for social purposes. For example, like Vatsalya Foundation, it is doing for the women. So there is no specific CSR requirements because it is already using its funds for social purposes. So your CSR and social audit becomes separate because CSR is compulsory requirements once the company exceeds a
Reach you
particular
the,
turnover,
yeah, right.
right? So yeah, and what else did she ask, Sarika?
Um, she said, are there any guidelines as to the amount
No.
regarding the
So
social?
yeah, basically they are social entities only. So they may use either 90% of the amounts. They may, yes, there is a limit. Like there is 83% limits, but yeah, that is criteria to criteria. In certain cases, it is like 60% of their activities should be for the poor. Certain cases, there are 83% of the funds that you receive should be allocated to particular organizations. So yeah, those are deeper things that are not included in the slide, but yeah, just like CSR, which requires only certain percentage for the social purpose, your social audit needs to ensure that maximum of its funds that it is receiving is used for the social purpose.
Yes, I think that's end of the questions. Thank you so much, Twinkle, again for your time and effort.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think over to
And
you, Anjana. Yes,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, and anyone who wants to connect with me can scan the QR code and let me know if there is any other query.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
thank you. Yes, Anjana, over to you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much. I think it was a very informative session by Twinkle. Got a lot of insights into social audit. Um,
Ma'am,
Uh,
Harshada ma'am, need to start.
I'm here
Yep.
to introduce
Yeah.
just a brief about you. Just a brief about Anjana Shaji. She's a chartered accountant, accomplished tax professional with an extensive experience in leading CA firm. Known for strong leadership skill, she's passionate about empowering women in finance sector. She focuses on creating long-term value while monitoring aspiring female professions, drawing from own personal experience with the challenges women face in leadership. So today she is going to share her journey and insight to inspire the next generation to us and all female leaders in the finance. Please, Anjana, ji start.
Thank you so much, Harshada, for that introduction. Once again, thank you, Twinkle. It was quite an informative session. We got a lot of insights into social audit. Um, I'll just share my screen first. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I know it's afternoon time, but I just want to shake all of you up now. Can we just start by, can we just all pat our back and applaud ourselves because we are a part of this noble profession, and particularly because we are female CAs. Can we do that? Yes. So thank you very much. Today I am going to talk to you about something that's very close to my heart: women in leadership, particularly in the field of chartered accountancy. We all know that being a leader, especially as a woman, it comes with its unique set of challenges. But I believe that with these challenges come incredible opportunities for growth and success. Now, when I think about women leaders in our profession, I see a vibrant community that is breaking barriers, defying stereotypes, and proving that women can lead with confidence and competence. Our journey is filled with stories of perseverance and triumph. And today, I want to share a few thoughts that highlight the power of women leaders. Yeah, so mainly these are the topics which I will be talking about, the subtopics. So, trailblazers in accounting. So, every great movement, it starts with few brave souls who decide that enough is enough. Okay. So, for women in chartered accountancy, it all began with pioneers like Ethel Watts. Now, this lady, Ethel, she faced significant challenges, including poverty, societal constraints. But despite all these obstacles, she pursued her education and she worked tirelessly. She did face gender discrimination, hostile work environment, and her contributions were undervalued. But this didn't keep her back. She just came out of the all the obstacles. Her determination and her perseverance helped her to carve out a space in the accounting profession. Now her story resonates with us because in many ways the journey of every woman in this profession, it feels like a small version of Ethel's battle. Now, whether it's being the only woman in the boardroom, or speaking up in a meeting where initially your ideas are dismissed, so these kind of small battles, they echo the larger fight for equality. I'm sure many of us have experienced those moments where you've said something and it gets ignored, and 5 minutes later someone else says the same thing, and suddenly it's like, oh, brilliant. So it's like, watching your own idea to get a standing ovation while you sit quietly at the back of the room. So, my friends, I just want to say here that, we just let's just not get discouraged, but let us follow the path of these inspirational women figures in our profession. Pioneers like Naina Lal Kidwai, she is also one of the great pioneers in accounting. So these trailblazers, they have demonstrated immense courage. They have paved the way for today's generation, and their journeys, they continue to motivate the future leaders in our profession. So let us all follow the path of these inspirational figures in our profession. Yeah, the power of resilience. Now, let me just share a key moment from my career, that shows that, the challenges that women face in leadership. Now, especially during a transfer pricing audit, a kind of a task that can be pretty overwhelming. So, not too long ago, I was given to lead a transfer pricing audit for a large automobile MNC. Now, this meant that, I had to check how they were reporting their profits across different countries, and the stakes were quite high. Okay. So, on my first day with the client, I walked into a boardroom, and that was filled with a lot of senior executives, men who had been in industry for years. And the head of finance, he looked at me and with a raised eyebrow, and he said, "What's your plan here?" So then my heart raced because I was leading it for the first time. And I took a deep breath and I knew I had to step up and I had to show them that I am ready. So, as we got into the audit, I discovered some big issues with the pricing models that could get them into trouble with the tax authorities. So, the atmosphere had become very tense. And I could tell that, they had started to doubt our team and our capabilities. So I could, just feel the weight of responsibility on my shoulders. And so that night, I stayed up late, going through documents and trying to figure out a solution. And suddenly, an idea hit me, what if we change their pricing structure to fix problems? So, this kind of an approach could help them in twin. There was a twin benefit with this approach. A, they could stay compliant with the tax structure. Second, it would fit their business goals. So, next morning, I presented my ideas to the board. As I explained the plan, I could see the executive expressions changing. At first, they were skeptical, but as I shared more details, they started to warm up to the idea. I had prepared for the question and concerns, and I felt more confident with every answer I gave. So, finally, the head of finance smiled and said, "Oh, you have done a great job and you have given us a lot to think about. You really know your stuff." Now, hearing this, it felt like, I had just won a big victory. I'm sure all of y'all would have had these kind of experience sometime in your profession. Now, friends, this kind of an experience, it just taught me how important confidence is in leadership, right? So, being the youngest and the only woman in the room, that wasn't a disadvantage. It was a chance to bring fresh ideas to the table. So, sometimes it just takes determination, willingness to share your thoughts, no matter whatever is the situation. So, we often face distinct hurdles, so what we need to keep doing is, just be determined, just be focused, just be confident, and you should have the willingness to share your thoughts. Okay. And hum honge kamyab, right? Okay. So embracing these challenges, it leads to a newfound strength and success in one's career journey. Now, I would like to talk about the balancing act, right? So, this is a kind of a topic that, hits close to home for many of us. Like the work life balance, it's a phrase that gets thrown around a lot. But for women in leadership, it often feels like, we are juggling flaming torches, right? So, we have a lot of multiple responsibilities like, balancing the family, the career, the personal life, right? So, how do we get over this? Yeah, so we just have to prioritize our tasks, time management. These two things are sufficient, and we always strike a balance, right? And also we can build strong support networks, like, both at home, like we can take domestic help, or the support of our family, and also support system within our team, so that, we can guide them and we can tell them, at work also we can put forward our thoughts that, this time I won't be available. So the kind of support system which we get at work also, that will help us to reduce our stress, and it will help to create a balance. So here I would just, kind of share experience of one of my friends, Priya. She was leading a major tax project, and she was also caring for her two young children at home. So she told me that, Anjana, like what you said, it's just like, juggling flaming torches. She was saying that, on one hand, she would be on a conference call with the CEO for a minute. And the next, she was negotiating bedtime with her toddler, who was very much concerned about his missing stuffed toy. So just imagine, shifting from talking about corporate tax strategies to, just finding a missing toy in 5 minutes. So it's a superpower, isn't it? Really. So, friends, it's not just about, managing tasks. I think it's about being present in all parts of your life, without losing your sense of self, right? So, just in this process, we just need to bear in mind that, we just have to prioritize our tasks, and our mental and physical well being is also essential. Yeah. So, breaking the glass ceiling, right? No conversation about women leaders would be complete without addressing the gender bias. We still face gender bias in our field, which can be manifested in many ways. Like, it can affect hiring practice, career advancement, pay equity, and workplace culture, right? But what have we done as women leaders? We have shown the competence, we have shown them that our success is driven by talent, effort, and commitment, not by gender, right? And these achievements as women leaders, it inspires others, to pursue leadership in chartered accountancy and beyond that, right? So I would just say, from my experience, that, instead of getting upset, that, this gender bias is happening in my, organization, or, I am putting forward my concerns to the HR, but still nothing is working out. See, just remember three magic words. Don't get discouraged, right? Just keep speaking up, keep putting your ideas forward. And if you are ever ignored, right, trust me, the right people will eventually see your value. Because as I said before, the success is driven by talent, effort, commitment to work, and not by gender. So let's all of us work together to create equitable opportunities for everyone in our profession. So we have to empower the future generations. Yes, that is, I'm continuing from slide 5. So, women leaders, we act as mentors and role models for aspiring female chartered accountants. Now, mentorship has been a crucial part of my journey as well, and it is a cornerstone of leadership, right? It offers essential guidance and tools to navigate the professional challenges effectively, right? We all need a guru in some time in our journey, right? So if we have a mentor, it becomes easier. We get the right guidance, and we know that we are moving in the right path, right? Also, we need to build networks, which allows for networks, like, just like we have our women excellence committee. So this kind of networking committee, it allows for women to share their experience, and we can foster collective growth among all the women in our profession. So, if we support the next generation, it will, kind of create a pipeline of empowered women leaders in the industry. And here, I just want to share a quick story about one of my friends and my mentees, Neha. Now, she was a bright, hardworking woman, and entering into the field of financial consulting. But she wasn't quite sure, if she had the confidence to take on leadership roles. So We both worked together over the years, and I watched her grow from a hesitant associate into a confident strategic leader in her own right. She was like, when she landed in her first major client, she called me saying, I did it. I closed the deal. That kind of a moment, that was so powerful, because as a friend I knew that it wasn't just a win for her, and as her colleague, I knew that she was just not a winner in this deal, but for every woman that she would go on to mentor, right? And now, today, for so many of her team members, they all look up to her as her role model. So that is also one of her great achievements, I would say. So, friends, this mentorship, it creates ripples, and those ripples, they lead to the waves of change in our industry. Okay. So, looking into the future, yeah. The future of chartered accountancy profession, it is evolving, and so are we. The technology is reshaping our profession. Artificial intelligence, automation, data analytics, all of this is reshaping our profession. It streamlines, a lot of processes. It improves the efficiency in our audits, in reporting, in our compliance work, right? Everything has its own pros and cons, right? So, the pros, I would say that, the technology, it facilitates remote work. See, most of us, if we have a domestic work commitment, or we want to balance work and home, now, because of the technology, we are able to do remote work. And this facilitates remote work, this facilitates collaboration. So it breaks all the geographical barriers, for the diverse teams, right? And it also allows the firms, to implement unbiased recruitment practices, right? So there is inclusivity in hiring, right? And like my friend Twinkle, she had also mentioned that, we are going digital. ICI has taken lot of initiatives where we are going digital. So the technology driven training programs, they help in developing the skills of everybody who is in this profession, right? And mainly, what happens, some of us, we are fearing that, these robots will take over our jobs, right? But I would say that, let them try, let them try, because, the real value we bring as women leaders is not just, in crunching numbers. It is in understanding the bigger picture, right? I again want to refer to one of my friends, Shalini. She was working on a project wherein they had to, integrate artificial intelligence into financial forecasting, right? So Shalini, quite brave and all that. And I had just put across my thoughts, that, what will, so everything is AI now. So how do you see this? So she gave me a witty reply saying that, if you can teach a robot to understand revenue projections and explain it to a CEO in 30 seconds, then I will worry, right? So she did not worry. Instead, she led her team in adapting to new technologies, and she ensured that, the human touch and decision making that remained at the forefront. So that was a very important learning for me. So I wanted to share it with all of you that, just don't get disheartened that, these AI and everything will take over us. No, we have to adapt ourselves to the new technologies, but at the same time, the human touch in decision making is always at the forefront, right? So we can make use of the technology to enhance efficiency in our audits, compliance work, and we should also attend technology driven training programs to develop our skills, and at the same time, we should always remain at the forefront to integrate AI with our profession, right? Yeah. I think the future is very bright for all of us. And I'm not, I don't think, I'm quite sure that the future is bright for us because, as women leaders, we are, not into just, balancing books or, just into audits or kind of consulting work. We are more than this. We are balancing the entire industries. We are breaking down the barriers, and we are building the future, right? So as barriers continue to fall, more women, more of us, we can rise into leadership roles. And trust me, we have a lot of opportunities for personal and professional growth. The future holds a lot of great potential for all the women in this profession. Just keep supporting each other, the collaboration and the support amongst women. That is quite essential for the continued success. To all the women who are listening today, just remember that, you belong in this profession, you belong in the leadership, and yes, the future is bright. Yeah, so together we rise. I would say that, the girl power, the immense girl power that we have, we can motivate and empower the next generation of women leaders as well. And collectively, we can build a stronger, more inclusive community which is dedicated to, empowering women in finance. I think collaboration is the key word for all of us. And I would just say that, to just embrace all the possibilities that lie ahead of you, and just continue to support each other in the path towards success. Thank you.
Hello. Ma'am, it was very wonderful session.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Yeah. Ma'am, 1 second. I'm just checking out if there is any questions regarding it.
Yeah.
Uh, no, ma'am, there is no questions as such right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am, for such a wonderful session and taking out your time from your busy schedule to just guiding us for this session, and also making this session a wonderful session and a successful one. Thank you, ma'am.
My honor, my honor. I thank the entire Women Excellence Committee, for giving me the opportunity, to talk to all my fellow members, all my women power. I hope you enjoyed this session, and we'll continue to motivate each other. And thank you so much again.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you.